I'm going to give a couple minutes to let people continue to join. I think that we'll see some more faces here, so just want to give them a couple minutes. But in case this is your first time joining a Daytrip webinar, we usually like to start it out by welcoming everybody and also asking you guys if you have ever used Daytrip before. It's kind of nice for us to have like a solid understanding of your knowledge base. If you have used us before, there's going to be new stuff for you. If you've never used us before, then it'll all be new and it'll be great. So just let us know in the chat if you've used us before or not. I also like to always ask where people are joining from. I know we had a large registration pool from the US, but you can let us know your state. You can let us know if you're from a different country, whatever it may be, wherever you may be joining from, let us know in the chat. And then I will continue to let people join, and then we will get started in just a couple minutes. I am going to be checking the chat periodically also throughout the presentation. So, the first one is yes, many times I'm from Philadelphia. I got distracted because I love Philly. I used to live there. Go Birds. Like I was saying, I'm going to be checking the chat periodically throughout the webinar to answer questions as they come in, but I will also have a dedicated Q&A period at the end of the chat or at the end of the webinar. So you will get your questions answered. Don't worry, you can add anything in the chat, whether it's questions, comments, whatever it may be. We welcome all of your thoughts. And I don't want to take up too much of your time today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to start by introducing myself. My name is Emma. I am a junior partnership manager here at Daytrip, and in my role, I get to partner very closely with you guys, our travel advisor partners, in making sure that you understand what our service is and understand how we can really help you guys with just about anything that you're doing when it comes to ground transportation. I'm going to go through all of our features, of course, during the webinar, but we will also have a really wonderful discussion about the European Alps, and I'm very excited for this. Weirdly enough, it's actually like kind of warm outside. We're here based in Prague, so we're not too far from the Alps, but it's like 50 degrees outside, I think, today. So maybe not the ideal skiing day, but no matter, we will push on with some beautiful images. I am also joined this evening by my colleague Sarah, who is going to be checking out the chat and maybe chatting with some of you guys. So she is on the call. Hello, Sarah. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And yes, together we are going to go through this presentation. So let's get started. I just wanted to kind of briefly go through some housekeeping rules. Everybody has been automatically muted. That's just to kind of keep the background music and background sounds and stuff to a minimum. The sirens and everything, that's always fun. So that's just going to happen. You guys are all muted. Everything's good. If you unmute yourself, I'm going to mute you again. So just a heads up. You can see that we are recording this webinar and we will be sharing a link with all participants at the end. We want to make sure that you have all of the details that we'll be covering at your fingertips because there are a lot of details, let me tell you. As I said, you can ask your questions in the chat box. You can also give us your comments, whether it's about the subject of the call or any day trip comments that you may have in general. We welcome it all. We will have the dedicated Q&A session at the end of the call. And at the end of the call, we will also have a little giveaway moment. So there will be a trivia question waiting at the end, and the winner will receive a $50 day trip voucher. I'll remind you guys at the end of the call about this, but definitely keep your eyes peeled, be paying attention to the call because there is going to be a trivia question based on the content of this webinar. So be listening, and I'll remind you that it's going to be the person who answers the question first with the first correct answer in the chat. So we'll get there in the end, but we've got to get through some awesome photos and awesome locations first. But before we do that, I do want to go through the classic spiel of why Daytrip, and then we will get to exploring the Alps, and then I will go through a booking tutorial on our website so that you feel comfortable booking all of these trips that I will be going through, and then of course our Q&A session that I've mentioned 1 million times already, but it's really important to make sure that you get your questions answered. So to begin with, why Daytrip? Why are we here tonight? What is it that I'm going to be telling you guys about? So for those of you who are not familiar, even though I know at least one person in the chat is very familiar with Daytrip, we are a convenient door-to-door private car transfer service. We are based in Prague, as I said, but we operate across 130 countries around the world. This is on 6 different continents out of 7, so not too shabby. And we are able to do this door-to-door private car transfer service with our network of over 11,000 vetted English-speaking drivers. I'm going to touch on this in a few slides, but I know that this is something really important to you guys to know that these drivers are not just like random people who decided to sign up and drive with Daytrip. These are people that we have properly vetted. So that's a just sort of peace of mind for you guys, and I'll talk on that in a couple minutes. But all of our trips are flexible, they're customizable, they can range from 20 miles to 300 miles, shorter, longer, anywhere in between. And we always have our 24/7 customer support there for you. I know that that is also important to you guys as travel advisors to know that you're not alone when it comes to booking these trips. Yes, you may have attended a webinar, but maybe you have questions down the road, you need to do something. We have our customer support there for you and also for your clients. I'm going to have their information on the last slide of this presentation. information and you are welcome to share that with your clients. But just know if it's like a crazy time wherever you are and you have clients traveling, we are there to help them whenever something comes up. And this is what I had just mentioned. This is our driver vetting process. I know that this is also really important so that you can understand exactly what we do to vet our drivers because we have over 11,000 of them. And so we really do go through this process with each and every one. So this vetting process begins with a one-on-one interview with a country manager. We have various country and regional managers all around the world, and they're the ones who are sitting down with the drivers, really having a conversation to understand if we're a good fit for them and if they're a good fit for us. This is also a way that we can test their English because our drivers are all speaking English. They're all English speakers. So the second step of the vetting process is a background and car safety check. I think this is fairly self-explanatory and makes perfect sense, but just in case you would like some more details, of course, the background check is to make sure that the driver is someone that we would trust with our own families or with ourselves, and the vehicle also has to be up to the Daytrip standard, which is 10 years. It cannot be manufactured more than 10 years ago. So that's part of this check here, and also just, of course, making sure that it's in safe working order. The third step of the driver vetting process is a Daytrip customer service training. This is important to us because we don't want your clients to feel like they're sort of just like going through the motions of having a transfer or going on a day trip or whatever it may be. We want our drivers to be friendly faces who are greeting your clients in the location, whether it's at the airport in the arrivals hall with a sign and then helping them with their luggage, or if it's picking them up at their doorstep, their Airbnb, wherever it may be. We want our drivers to be offering the tips and recommendations and just be like nice, kind people to your clients. And so that is a part of the training and the vetting process. And then step number 4 is approval. But this is sort of an ongoing thing. Just because someone gets approved to drive with us doesn't mean that we're like, bye, have fun. This is something that we're constantly monitoring. We want to make sure that they're operating up to our level of service that we are expecting. So we are constantly checking in with them. This also goes for their English level. We want to make sure that their English level remains the same. And so I just hope that you feel comfortable knowing that we are really going through this very thorough vetting process when it comes to our drivers here at Daytrip. I think it's important to also show the vehicle categories. Of course, we have 4 categories. We have sedan, MPV, van, and luxury sedan. You can see here that the largest number of passengers that we can accommodate within one vehicle is 7, but that doesn't mean that that's like the cutoff. We can transport as many people as you need with multiple vehicles, and it's really easy to book it directly on our website because you can just add the number of passengers that you have, which I will show you later on. And then from there, you'll be able to have multiple vehicles. If it's like 14 people, you could do 2 vans, you could do a van, sedan, couple sedan combo, but it's really easy to do it right on our website. And I want to talk about the luxury service as well for a second. This is something that we have recently launched. It's only available in selected countries or selected European countries and then countries like Japan, South Korea. The drivers always arrive suited up and professional. And this is something in case you have those clients who just want that extra level of comfort, of luxuriousness, which I think is very appropriate for a skiing webinar and talking about the Alps. So that is a service that we have recently launched, and I highly encourage you to check it out for your clients. And with that, I have done the spiel, but that's not the last thing you're going to hear about Daytrip because, of course, as we're talking about the Alps, our service in Europe is super, super strong. So it would be crazy of us to not go through all of these destinations and not tell you how we can help your clients visit the Alps and all of the other cool things that we can offer you guys in the Alps. The preface of this is that, as I said, we at Daytrip are based in Prague, so we kind of know what we're talking about when it comes to Europe. And so we wanted to just help you guys unpack this. I will preface this also by saying that I am not a like professional skier like Lindsey Vonn. I think that's a professional skier. So if you have like professional ski questions, go to Lindsey Vonn. I am here to help you understand Daytrip and how you can use Daytrip in the Alps and how you can help your clients see the Alps. But if I say something crazy about skiing, please know I'm from Ohio. There's not a lot of skiing in Ohio. If you want answers, if you want some questions about corn or something, like please hit me up. Soybeans, skiing, we are going to give you our professional opinion in the sense that we are European, we are Daytrip, but I will not be able to help you with those super professional ski questions. We will help you unpack the Alps, and we are going to get started right now with understanding what the Alps even are. So the Alps themselves, the European Alps, which we'll be discussing, are across 8 countries. It's a giant mountain range. When you look at maps and then you see those crazy posts on Twitter where people are like, why doesn't anyone live here? It's like, because there's giant mountains there and they're having fun. They're skiing. No one lives here because they're partying. The Alps span across 8 different countries in Europe. So it's France, Switzerland, Italy, Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Liechtenstein, and Monaco. A few of those might be a surprise to you guys. I know I was surprised to find out that Slovenia had part of the Alps, but there you go. There's another place where you can offer your clients where we certainly do operate. So that's the first thing that you need to know about the Alps is just understanding like what we're even talking about. The next thing that's very important is, as you can see here, the fun part, which is the après ski. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with this concept, but this is a foreign word. Of course, après is how you say after in French. So we just wanted to include this here because in case you don't know what it is, this is actually a very large piece of ski culture. And you can see that here in this top left photo up here on the slide. It's a little hard to see, but behind those skis are people just having fun after a day on the slopes, and that's exactly what après ski is. There's often like giant parties that they have. I'll talk about it in a couple more slides actually, but it's a huge piece of ski culture, and this is something that if you do have clients who ski, they're going to want to partake in this for sure. And the third term on this slide is piste. This is something that we actually had to kind of like make sure we were covering because in Europe it's a little bit different. If you're used to skiing in the United States, for example, or if your clients are used to skiing in the United States, there's kind of a different system over here where there's a better chance of being able to go off piste because there's really reliable snow conditions, which means off piste is basically like when you're not on this marked path. So you can see here, piste is a marked ski run where snow is smoothed. Off piste is like the opposite of that, where you're just like in nature having fun. It's also kind of dangerous. And so, a thing that we wanted to highlight when it comes to off piste skiing is that in Europe, if you are going to go off piste or if your clients want to go off piste, make sure they're prepared with the avalanche backpack. That includes everything like a shovel, a beacon, everything to make sure that they can be found if anything were to happen and that they're prepared for any sort of incidents because it is a little bit easier to just sort of like explore this rugged terrain. And as you'll see from all the destinations and all the pictures, like there is a lot of terrain, like several hundred kilometers worth. Oh, I actually have the exact number. Sorry. It's 746 miles. Like that's insanity. And so if you have clients going off piste, make sure they have their little avalanche backpack because that is very important. And with that, there are a few other things that we wanted to share when it comes to like general alpine knowledge before we get to the specific destinations that we want to suggest to you. Of course, it's also helpful to know about the season. Yes, we recognize that we're already in December as we're doing this webinar, so we kind of hope that this is maybe helpful for anyone who has clients already going to the Alps, in case you have clients who are interested in doing like a later season ski trip, because the season stretches well into April, so that's also an option. Or if you're already planning for next year, then we thought this would be a really good time to do it because like maybe your clients were thinking like, oh man, it's a shame that I couldn't go on a ski trip this year, but next year I totally want to. And so now you guys will have the knowledge to help them plan it and give them the best itinerary possible. So beyond the season, one other thing that you need to keep in mind is that cash is very important. If you happen to turn into my Christmas market webinar last month, cash was also very important there. It comes down to these little stands where it's just easier to do things in cash than in card. So just make sure your clients have cash. The countries that we'll be talking about, make sure you check their currencies. In Austria, they're on the euro, but in Switzerland, they are not. So just make sure that you have all the like necessary currency depending on where you're going. And then as you'll see here for bullet number 3, this coming year in January, some month that starts with a J. This coming January are actually going to be the Winter Olympics in Italy. It's going to be co-hosted by 2 different cities, Milan and then Cortina d'Ampezzo. So that's why it's sort of the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics, which is why we actually are not highlighting those destinations specifically in this presentation. Italy, to be frank, is going to be a madhouse when it comes to the Winter Olympics. And so we kind of thought that this was going to be a good opportunity to highlight other places where your clients could ski instead of those Italian ski destinations. We will be having some content coming out later about the Olympics in case you do have clients going there. But for now, this presentation is not going to cover Italy because it's going to just be full of people. The public transportation is going to be crazy, which is, I guess, a good reason to use Daytrip. But even so, if you want to avoid the crowds, you want to have really good time on the slopes, then definitely send your clients to the places we're going to be talking about today. And I think it's also important to talk about the different types of terrain when it comes to the Alps. We talked about piste versus off-piste, but when it comes to the different slopes, they're also all labeled depending on the difficulty level. So green is the most basic, simplest type of slope that you can have. And of course, it goes up to black. That one scares me a lot. So if your clients are interested in going for the black slopes, definitely make sure they know what they're doing. You will not catch me there. I'll be at après ski, and then your clients can go on those crazy runs themselves if they really want to. And then, of course, it would not be a good webinar without talking about the food. You know, you need the fuel for skiing. So the ones that I recommend here are going to be found in all the places that we are covering here because it's sort of like a French Swiss situation. So it's going to be everywhere. You'll be able to find it in Austria as well. And the three that I recommend are raclette, fondue, and tartiflette. They're all delicious. They're all basically like cheese, like melted cheese in various forms, whether it's with potatoes or bread. You really can't go wrong with it. I just would hope that your clients are not lactose intolerant because these would be amazing. So just double check that before giving them these recommendations. So, I think the best way that we can start this presentation officially when we're getting to the proper destinations is to go with what your clients might be familiar with. So, like I said, and as I've seen in the chat, there are a lot of people who are joining from the United States. And so we put this together where, like, the beginning of this presentation is going to be sort of like a this or that comparison. We're going to take the ski destinations that your clients know and love in the US, and we're going to give you suggestions over here so that you can kind of like help them broaden their horizons, explore some more. It's also great for you guys, a great way to boost your commission and use Daytrip. So, our first one is if you have clients who like Vail, Colorado, our suggestion to you and to them is to send them to St. Moritz in Switzerland. This is not going to be a name that you guys aren't familiar with, but that doesn't mean that it's not worth checking out. Especially if your clients do like Vail, this is the place to send them because Vail was built by people in the inspiration of Switzerland, specifically in this location. It's actually Vail's sister city. It's really cool. If you look into the history of it, I was kind of like nerding out a little bit on the Wikipedia page earlier because it was talking about how it was veterans from the Second World War who came back home to the US, and based on what they had seen in Switzerland and like all across Central and like Western Europe, they were like, we need something like that when it comes to skiing in the US. And so that's what they did. And then they built Vail, and they actually had a lot of European immigrants who helped them build it. So it's just like a very wholesome backstory, I think, which I really like. So definitely, if you have clients who love Vail, send them on over to St. Moritz in Switzerland. This is also really the birthplace of winter tourism. They were hosts of the Olympic Games, the Winter Games, two different times. And as you can see in the bottom left photo there, there's actually a giant frozen lake where they hold events, which is really cool and also sort of scary. That's sort of like the underlying theme of all of this for me is like cool, but also really scary. I think that's what skiing is to me. So just, I'm sorry if my like genuine fears of the mountains are coming through. I know it's not everybody, so I'm sure your clients are not afraid and they would love to go onto these events on this frozen lake. Like, why not? St. Moritz in general is definitely a ritzier location. We're going to talk about places that kind of are like ritzier and then also places that are not as ritzy and that are super doable. But this is the one where if you have clients who are like really used to skiing in the US and they want something different, this is the place for them to go. It was actually a favorite spot of Audrey Hepburn, and I feel like that's also someone that people really just like look up to. So if you have anyone that you know is obsessed with Audrey Hepburn, suggest that they go skiing here in St. Moritz. I also wanted to highlight this second to last bullet, which you'll see on various slides, which is these are the different international ski passes that exist. And we wanted to make sure to include which ones are accepted at these different locations. So here in St. Moritz, if your clients have an Epic Pass or an Icon Pass, they can go ahead and use those here, which I think just makes it that much more attainable. If they already have the pass from a destination back home in the US, they are accepted in Europe as well, which just makes it all that more worthwhile to plan a trip abroad for them. As you can see here, we also recommend flying into Zurich or Milan for this destination. This is not going to be like a direct flight into St. Moritz, but good thing Daytrip can help you with that. And I will touch on that in a little bit, but I also wanted to highlight two more destinations with sort of a this or that thing from the US. So the next one that we're going to have is if your clients are familiar or big fans of Jackson Hole in Wyoming, then we think that they're really going to love Chamonix in France. This is one also I think everyone's probably aware of if you're even like kind of into skiing or mountains for that matter, because we've all heard of Mont Blanc. This is like the highest peak in the Alps, super, super famous. This is the destination to send your clients if they're really into skiing. This is where they're going to have those extremely steep slopes. It's also really high altitude, which is how you're going to get that beautiful, perfect, consistent snow. I think that's the thing that I always hear people talk about when they're going skiing is like, oh, it was so beautiful, but like the snow wasn't great. If you want good snow, this is the place to go. You need to go to super high terrains for that. And so send them to Mont Blanc, send them to Chamonix in general. This is really fantastic for expert skiers and for the powder, which I feel super weird using the term powder because I'm like not a skier, but that's what they say. They're like, oh yeah, the powder was sick, bro. That's how I imagine they talk. And this is the untouched, pure snow. That's what you're gonna find here, and that's what they want. This one also is a winter sports hub. They have some crazy things going on here, actually. They have cable cars that take you up to these really awesome peaks. They have all the ice skating and curling and like all the winter sports you could ever want. It was the host of the first ever Winter Olympics in 1924, which yeah, it was like just the 100-year anniversary of that. So this seems like a really good time to go and just sort of bask in that glory that's still left over. Especially if you aren't able to go to the Winter Olympics in 2026, this could be a good alternative actually, and have this be the destination for your Olympic loving clients. And as you can see here, the Icon Pass is also accepted, and we do recommend having your clients fly into the Geneva airport. It's really not far, as I will show you in a coming slide. So this is the destination that we suggest next if your clients like Jackson Hole. And the third destination that we would like to highlight when it comes to the this or that section of the webinar is Aspen, Colorado. This is, of course, one we're all familiar with, but one that you may not be familiar with is Courchevel, France. So this is one that I kind of want to preface by saying like it is a luxurious destination, but I think that that is sort of like why people might want to go there. This is not going to be like the super budget friendly option, but it does exist. It's very possible to do this on more of a skier's budget or like a smaller budget skier's budget, I guess you could say. But this one is really luxurious, and this is for your clients if you want to give them like the peak experience. This is part of these three valleys, Les Trois Vallées. Oh, wow, she's so French. And it is, as you can see here, a premier luxurious mountain resort town. This is where you're going to see celebrities. This is where you're going to be like rubbing elbows with like David Beckham and George Clooney and all the people that you always see skiing. And it's for a good reason. It really does have world-class skiing. This is not a place where you can just like go on these like little nursery slopes and like you're not going to have a great time. It's like, no, this is really a proper ski destination. And I think this is, as you can see from the photos, like what you sort of picture when it comes to ski lodges with the chalets and like the lights and just the beautiful scenery. That's what you're going to find here in Courchevel, France. That is not to say that the smaller budget options don't exist. As I mentioned before, there are some like primary resorts where people will stay, and those are the full serviced chalets where like you have catering, you have the housekeeping and everything like that. But there are other ones that are self-service, and that's a really easy way to do a ski trip on more of a budget because that means that you're providing your own food, you're cleaning up after yourselves, and that's a really good option for families, I think, too, because then you can also make sure that your kids are like eating what they should be eating, and you can really control that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend if you do have family ski trips on the brain, this is a good destination for you guys to check out. And they do take the Epic Pass, and you can fly easily into the Lyon or Geneva airports. And I think I kind of was alluding to this a little bit, but this is what I meant when I said that Daytrip can help. So we have these routes directly available, sorry, for booking on our website. And you can see here some of the most popular routes actually are going to these destinations from the various airports. So you can see here from the Geneva airport to Chamonix, it's only an hour and 15 minutes. And then from the Geneva airport to Courchevel, it's 2 hours and 17 minutes. And I really wanted to like highlight these durations because something that I think really makes Daytrip important for you guys is that these durations are really modest. I would say like an hour and 15 minutes for like an airport transfer from one country to another is really not bad at all. But when you look at the public transportation for this, it can be like double or triple that time. And it's just like completely insane to want to start a trip like that, especially if you do have families traveling. Like you don't want to have a bunch of kids who just came off this like international flight trying to like shuffle all their luggage onto like a train or something. Like it's much easier if you have a friendly day trip driver waiting for them in the airport, the meet and greet hall with a sign with their name on it. They get picked up, all their luggage fits, everything's good, and then they're in their destination in an hour and 15 minutes and they can go straight to the slopes. We really were looking at the public transport and we were like, oh, that is quite a journey to add on to this international flight that your clients are already on. So, highly recommend checking out Daytrip to see how we can really shorten and also just streamline the journeys. And I have talked a lot about how these different ski trips are great for families, but we actually wanted to dedicate a couple destinations directly to family-friendly travel. I see the chat is kind of like popping off, so I do just want to like briefly check in there. I'm not going to maybe answer every single question right now, but keep them coming. And then when we have that dedicated Q&A session at the end, I will be happy to answer the rest. Okay, so how do you monitor the service levels from drivers after they have been vetted? This is a great question, and this goes back to those country and regional managers that I mentioned. They're the ones who are in direct contact with them. Since Daytrip works directly with the providers, like there's not going to be sort of like a weird middleman who has to go and deal with all the communication. Like we're the ones working with our country and regional managers who are talking directly to the drivers. So that's how we maintain that. If we do happen to get any sort of indication that maybe a driver's English isn't as good as we last thought it was, or something like that, then we do call them. We have a direct line of communication to them. So this is something that we are constantly monitoring with the help of those country and regional managers. The next question is what happens in the instance of a flight delay? Do the drivers monitor flights and or wait? Yeah, so in the instance of a flight delay, we do collect the flight information, which you'll see on our website when I go there for the tutorial. But if there is a flight delay, we ask that you just let us know because that means either the original driver will wait for your clients or we will find a replacement driver in case that driver cannot wait. So no matter what, your clients will be covered and you don't have to worry about that. And I'll show you exactly where you can add the flight information into your booking. Okay. And then we just had one more. This is a comment, but I think it's a really good comment. So thank you, Mary Catherine. She says, I have booked a client from Zurich to burn through Daytrip easier than train. See, in case you don't trust me, which you should, obviously, you can take Mary Catherine's word on it. But those were the questions for now. Keep them coming, like I said. But I'm going to go through the family-friendly destinations because I know that this is also something really important. Like, even from my own personal experience, like I said, I'm from Ohio. Growing up, I feel like when we would come back from the holiday break, kids were always like, oh, I was skiing. Like, I had this amazing ski trip. And I was always like, why don't my parents take me on ski trips? Like, oh, I'm so jealous. So if you guys as travel advisors want to be the ones who can create those memories and like make those kids the ones that everyone's jealous of, and even the parents, like they're going back to work after the holidays and they're like, oh, we were in Switzerland. Like it actually wasn't that more expensive than going to Vail or whatever. Like that's on you guys. You can create these amazing memories, these amazing trips for your clients, and we want to give you the tools to do so. So the first, oh no, I've been dreading this one because the name of this one is so crazy, but I was like, you can do it. You can say the name. This is the first destination that we are going to offer you, and I'm going to call it Saalbach Hinterglemm for short. But the official name, I'm going to try this. And I even wrote in my notes, I was like, okay, take a deep breath because like you're not a German speaker, but you're going to do it. The official name of this destination is Ski Circus Saalbach Hinterglemm Leogang Fieberbrunn. Sure. As you can see, it's so long that my computer actually had to like cut off one of the names. It like didn't fit onto this slide perfectly. But this is a recommendation for sure. As you can see, it has over 150 slopes for all ski levels. Oh, thank you. Sarah's giving me a round of applause. Thank you. I needed that. The moral support is very important for every time that I try to like butcher the German language. Like, oh my God, I'm doing my ancestors so dirty. But when it comes to the Saalbach Hinterglemm Ski Circus, which is a very fun term, I also have to say, there are over 150 slopes for all ski levels. And these photos that you see here are like literally taken directly from this area. So clearly it's great for skiers. I have to really give that girl who looks like she's like 2 years old and is skiing, I have to really give her props because like I could not do that. But in case you know that your clients want to teach their kids how to ski from a really young age, this is a really great place to send them because they also have a ton of ski schools and they also know that a lot of English speakers are coming there. So all of the destinations that we're going to show you have ski schools in English as well, which I think is really cool. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight here are that they have this dedicated family park, the Family Park U-Bahn, and that is a really cool destination because this is a place where your clients and their families can just like what is it called? Free riding? Yes, I forgot the terminology. They can free ride, which is basically just like free skating on the proper path. So they're going to be on piste, so they don't need the avalanche gear or anything. But it really is like a free for all where like parents can ski around with their kids. They can teach them, they can help them learn. If they had like proper lessons, it's a nice way for them to like see their progress or something. And it's just a great way for the family to stick together and get to have that nice vacation together. There's a great card that you can get if you're interested in this area because this area does encompass actually like a very vast region, and this card will give them access to all of the different regions within here. It's called the Ski Alpine card, and it will give you access, like I said, here to 3 premium regions, and there is a child option. So I wrote down the years here. Yes, if the kids are born between 2007 and 2019, as of like this ski season, it's going to, of course, like change next year. But as of this ski season, if the kids are born between 2007 and 2019, on Saturdays, they can get this Junior Explorer ticket for only 15 euros, which, if you've ever seen the prices of a ski lift ticket in the US, 15 euros is like handing someone a penny. Like it truly is like nothing. So I really highly recommend this destination. It's really nice to just like get a feel for the snow and not have it be too expensive. Great for families. And again, the Epic Pass is accepted. So if you know your clients are into that, they can totally come here. Um, I also think that it's nice that it's from the Salzburg airport because that's how you know that you can go and do some cool exploring with Daytrip into Salzburg. So I don't know if it's realistic, when you land in Salzburg, you just want to get to your destination, which is not too far away, but you just want to do it. But maybe like a couple days later, legs are tired, people are tired, they're like, I can't go on the slopes today, I need to take a break. This is a really nice way that you can use our service to give them that experience where they can take a break, they can go see something different and really make the most of their trip. So with Daytrip, you can book a same-day return trip from Saalbach, the ski circus with the insanely long name, to Salzburg, and this is how you can let your clients really like see more. I also wanted to highlight, in case you're not familiar, Daytrip is really awesome because we have these optional sightseeing stops that you can add to all of your journeys, which is just a way to let your clients see a little bit more. You can change the duration. Here in the example photo that I have, we have 1 hour at each of these places, but you can make that shorter or longer. It's really up to your discretion. You can also add your own sightseeing stops. And so in case like between the ski circus, whatever it may be, in Salzburg, if your clients had something else that they wanted to see that was not a recommended stop on our website, we can still accommodate it. And so it's just really flexible and really easy. And I think it's a great break in the action. And like it would also be kind of a shame, if they went all the way to Austria for their vacation and didn't get to go see beautiful Salzburg except at the airport, which, in case you didn't know, that doesn't count. If you think that you've been to a country but you've only been to the airport, it doesn't count. So use day trips. You can say like, yes, I did go to Salzburg, not just the airport. And the second family-friendly destination that we wanted to highlight is one in France. I think this might be my favorite one, actually. One day, if I have a family, I would like to take them here and have my kids learn how to ski because I can't. I tried once and I was too scared. But I think it's really good also when kids learn when they're young. I think then they're like less likely to be afraid of it. And this is a great place to start. It's part of the Paradise ski area, which we also like love a pun, so I'm really into that. And this is another high altitude one, like the other French one that I showed you where Mont Blanc was. That one is also high altitude, much like this one. And so that means reliable snow. As you can see in the pictures here, like covered in snow, absolutely gorgeous, just so cozy and quaint and cute, which is like all you could really ever ask for, except maybe for snow, but it's just amazing. And as you can see here, there's runs for all levels at this one. Those 4 levels that I showed you before, the green, blue, red, I think, and black. There's runs for all of those levels. So everyone's covered, whether you're a beginner or you're an expert. And again, this one has really good ski schools. They're all English-speaking ski schools, and these are actually some of the highest rated ski schools in all of Europe. So this is a really great way to kind of like tell your clients like, hey, I know your kids don't know how to ski, but they're gonna learn and they're gonna do it as kids and they're never gonna forget. There's also 11 villages that comprise this location, and each one of them has a free lift, which again speaks to the fact that ski trips can actually be quite like attainable. I think it's a really realistic thing. Like when you look at the pricing breakdown compared to like Vale or Aspen or Park City, wherever it may be that people are skiing, and you compare it to the price of going skiing in Europe, it's really comparable, if not actually cheaper in Europe. And so I think that seeing that there's like free lifts at these different places, like they're encouraging people. They want people to come and explore their destinations and really make the most of their trips. And I know that's what you guys are also trying to do. So European ski destinations, we're really going hand in hand. And of course, I also wanted to highlight the airport that your clients would fly into because we are happy to help get them to La Plagne in France, whether it's from the Geneva airport or the Lyon airport, we've got them covered. And I think I skipped this, but I wanted to highlight the photo in like the bottom left corner. Those are cable cars. They're double-decker cable cars. Okay, try saying that 1,000 times fast. Double-decker cable cars. Oh my God, that's so hard. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's hard to say. They're really cool and they connect the different areas, but also are just like an experience in of themselves to see these amazing vistas, these amazing views. Like if you're tired of skiing or if you just want to go from one area to another, it's really cool that they have this connection between the different areas. But of course, Daytrip will also keep you connected in case that's better for you or your clients. And with that, I have brought us to the third section of our presentation, which is a little bit important because if you remember, actually, the title of this webinar was no, it was not off the beaten path. It was to ski or not to ski. I was thinking off the beaten path because this is sort of like an alternate option for skiing, but it was to ski or not to ski. And so this part of the webinar is dedicated to the people who don't want to ski. And I think that's extremely fair, as I've said 1,000 times. Like, there's something so satisfying also about going to like a cold place and being cozy and warm and like seeing the snow outside, but then being like, wow, I'm so sensible. I'm inside and it's warm and I'm drinking a hot chocolate. I'm in the spa. So these are the options for those clients who are interested in something like that. And we've put together a few different recommendations, but I also just kind of wanted to highlight this as a general fact for you guys as travel advisors that wellness trips are really like on the rise. I actually saw a number that wellness travel is one of the fastest growing segments in the travel industry and that it's predicted to reach over 1.4 trillion by 2027. So if you haven't actually like proposed this kind of idea to your clients, I think this is really cool for almost like any type of client. I know personally, as a solo female traveler, I would love something like this. I think honeymooners would love something like this, a nice way to relax, especially with like gorgeous surroundings. Like that to me, like I said, is the best thing. But it's also really good for business travelers, like you're going to this like high pressure meeting and then you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Sit in my room and order room service and have like a pizza when you could go on this amazing retreat and do like this amazing sauna or something nearby. So I really do think that this wellness travel is something to keep in mind when it comes to your trips in the upcoming year. Like we're all stressed, we're all burnt out. We just want to have a nice relaxation moment, and the Alps are the perfect place to do it. So for your travelers who maybe had a long day skiing, or if they actually came here with the intention of chilling out, there's plenty of options for them. Après ski, hopefully you remember what that is. It's the after ski big old party. So basically, when it comes to one of the destinations, Chamonix, that we featured, that's like the place for après ski. So if you know your clients are going skiing just with the intention of partying, send them to Chamonix because they have these crazy high energy parties. There's like DJs, they go until like the early hours of the morning, and everyone's just having a fun time, making friends, chatting with their fellow skiers, but it's like all outside, just in like the best environment. So I highly recommend that one. If you have foodie clients, après ski is also a really cool way to taste like different cuisines. A lot of these different ski resorts around Europe actually have Michelin star restaurants. So even if you're doing like a chalet where you're sort of like lodging and like keeping up with your own food and doing the self-service thing, you could maybe have some nights planned for them where they go to try out one of the like very nice Michelin star restaurants that are available there. But there's also plenty of activities like fondue, of course, as I mentioned before. Fingers crossed, no one's lactose intolerant. They could have chocolate fondue. Well, you might not be able to have that either with lactose intolerance, but fingers crossed they're not lactose intolerant because that would be so, so sad. But they can go ice skating. There's like horse racing. The destination that I mentioned with the frozen lake actually has horse racing on the lake, and I don't understand how that works. So someone needs to send their client there so they can tell me if the horses are okay. It sounds really scary. Like, I don't think you should be racing on ice, but they do it there. And that's something that your clients can go see. If you have any like big horse fans, definitely hook them up with that destination. Beyond the après ski, there are a couple other things that we recommend. When it comes to spas, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but like sauna culture is very much a thing, I would say, in Europe. In different countries have like their different ways of doing it, and the Alps are no exception for that. So, of course, you can do like all the classic like LED red light facials and cryotherapy and not sleep deprivation, what is it, sensory deprivation chambers and stuff like that. But they also just have like really nice saunas with local products. You can just like kind of get a feel for what people in the area do when they go to the sauna to relax. There's also the salt grottos in Courchevel, as well as deep tissue massages. Of course, like all the classic things that you would like from a spa, those are all available. But I think it's always nice to put the little local twists on everything as well. And then the last suggestion that we have is going to be about this like wellness retreat idea, which is really tied to the like wellness trips that I mentioned before. So you can do these outdoor heated pools, which again just speaks to like being surrounded by snow, but being all cozy warm. Like that's just the best feeling. But in case you're crazy, you also can do a cold plunge. I know that's also becoming a big thing. I was reading another article actually recently about someone who was saying that cold plunges like fully changed their life. Like they've never been happier, they've never been more focused. So if you have burnt out business travelers, definitely suggest that they go somewhere like this and they can do their cold plunge, they can clear their mind, and then they can relax in like a heated pool afterward, like a sensible person. There's also mineral spring baths. That's like a big thing all around Central Europe, actually. There's a lot of natural springs everywhere and like thermal baths. So it's always nice to get to experience those, especially like to, relax your sore muscles after a long day of skiing or whatever it may be. So these are our recommendations when it comes to like the proper spa treatments and unwinding in the sense of après ski. But we would be remiss to also not suggest that your clients maybe could just go out and explore some more. So I gave you the recommendation before of a transfer with sightseeing stops or a return trip with sightseeing stops. But I just wanted to kind of highlight all the different places that we operate. I've said it 1,000 times, but we are in over 130 countries, and especially in Europe, we're very, very strong. We can really take your clients exactly where they want to go. But it's also helpful to know that these kind of routes are like preloaded on our website. So in case you're like, oh yeah, my clients want to go from Courchevel to Chambéry, they can do that. They can do a one day return trip. This one I just happened to have in January with two people. And these are the different suggested stops that we have. You can have them stop in Annecy in medieval towns. And this is just sort of like a way for them to stop having to like be on the slopes. You can take the stress out of trying to plan a little trip for them. They don't have to worry about public transportation timetables. They don't have to worry about trying to fit onto public transportation because we all know, the skiing season is limited. So around the same time, there's going to be a lot of people trying to go see the same stuff and visit the same towns. So public transport is going to be a crowded option, but with Daytrip, you can really guarantee that your travelers get to see everything that they want to see. So this was our first suggestion, was taking a day trip as a return same day transfer. But the other option that we have is a relatively new service that we recently launched, which is our by the hour service. And this is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It's a private chauffeur who remains at your client's disposal for the duration that you have selected. So in this very fancy gift that we have here, you can see that we have selected Naples and we have asked to have a driver for 6 hours. We're going to have a starting time of 8:30 a.m. And if your clients have baggage or something, you can of course indicate that here. It's still the same day trip booking process that you're familiar with. But with this service, you will have a private chauffeur who can take your clients around. They can sightsee. If there's maybe like a couple specific things they have in mind, then the driver can take them around. If they're not really sure and they just want to drive around, that's also an option. They can just say like, hey, we just want to see the area. We want to like take some pictures, like maybe just drive around, let us see what's up. And then if they happen to have something catch their eye, the driver can stop and wait for them while they do their thing. And it's just nice to have the driver at your client's disposal, especially in a very mountainous region where it's not super easy to get around if not by car. So I just wanted to highlight this. There are a couple things to know about this service, such as that the average like distance that can be traveled per hour is 20 kilometers or like 12 and a half-ish miles. So just keep that in mind. Like basically it's not per hour, but it's like an average at the end of the time. So as long as your clients are within that, the driver is truly at their disposal and can really provide an awesome sightseeing or exploration day for your clients. And this is a pretty new service. So even if you have been booking with us for a while, you may have not seen this on our website. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted this one. So now I have kind of given us a little bit of a segue into going into our booking tutorial, but I also see that the chat is popping off. So I do want to take a couple moments to check that. Oh, someone said great pronunciation. Oh my God. Thank you. Very good coming from a German. Oh my God. You guys, I'm going to get a big head from this. Okay. So this question here says, I've used Daytrip a lot. Several times the driver has been canceled and a new one assigned. What's going on when this happens? Yes, so that happens if for some reason the driver is not able to perform the trip. Sometimes there is car trouble. Sometimes they're like ready to do it and then they find out like, oh, my check engine light came on or whatever it may be. Of course, we don't want to put your clients in danger or anything. And so the driver notifies us that they're no longer able to perform the trip. And then we, of course, find a new driver. So that's what happens when you get these notifications. It's us just making sure that there is going to be a driver for you guys once we find out from our drivers that they're not able to perform the trip. I know sometimes it kind of seems like, oh, I'm getting a lot of these emails. It's just because we want to keep you updated. The last thing that we would want is to like replace the driver and then not have you know, and then be like, who is this person who has shown up to drive me? All of those emails are just us making sure that you're informed, making sure that you feel comfortable with the service. So that's what those emails are about. Someone is asking about road safety in winter. Are car services sometimes delayed or canceled during bad weather? The really cool thing about Daytrip is that all of our drivers are local to the area. So if you have a driver in Switzerland, that driver has been like driving in snow his entire life or her entire life. So they really understand the roads. If it's really, really dangerous, our customer support team will reach out to you and explain the situation. But I have not personally seen such a thing. These drivers know how to handle this weather, how to handle the terrain. They have the proper equipment if necessary for anything like that. So they really are keeping up with it. And we will be in touch with you if there's any sort of concern that maybe the trip is not possible. But like I said, I have not seen such a thing. And then the last question I see here is if more than 20 kilometers needed per hour for private driver, is there incremental cost? If it exceeds the 20 kilometers per hour at the end of the trip, it's not going to be the individual trip. So it's going to be like, or like the individual hours. So it's going to be like the total trip. Then there may be an additional cost, but it's for the most part, it's going to be fine within the 20 kilometers because it's meant to be really within that area. If you would like to go with or outside of the 20-kilometer limit, then I suggest booking like a one-way transfer or a return transfer for whatever your needs may be. But if it does happen to go beyond, then we will let you know if there's an issue there. But like I said, it's really meant to be like a private chauffeur service within the area, like kind of the same city. If you needed to go beyond that, then yeah, just book one of our other services and we will definitely have something to help you out there. We just had another question, and then I'm going to go to the booking tutorial for the last few minutes. We have, does Daytrip offer a grace period in case the client is running late? So when it comes to Daytrip, I highlighted a lot of airport transfers. And so our waiting period when it comes to airport transfers is 60 minutes. That's included if it's an airport, a cruise port, a train station, anything where like your clients are sort of relying on somebody else to get them there. Then we have a 60-minute waiting period in that in the price. It's included there. If it's not an airport or whatever it may be, we have a 30-minute waiting period. So there is a grace period in case the client is running late. Okay, the rest of your questions that come in, I will answer when we go to the dedicated Q&A, but I want to show you the website, but I forgot. Oh my God, this is a surprise even for me. We have a new feature that we actually launched like literally yesterday, and this was a feature that we added all because of you guys in like a very supportive, exciting way that like we had been asked so many times, is there a way for us to save our bookings? Is there a way for us to make sure that we can lock in the quote when we share it with our client? And the answer is finally yes. Yes, we do have this feature. It just launched. Now, when you go to our website to book, which I will show you how to do in 2 seconds, you will see two options. It'll say either pay now or reserve now, pay later. If you choose the second option, then it'll go to your travel agent portal as a reserved booking. And that means that you have locked in the price of this trip. You can now share the details with your clients, make sure everything's good. You can go back and edit your bookings. If there's something, if they're like, oh, actually, surprise, we have 25 more people traveling with us, you can go back in and edit that. The price will update, of course, if it's 25 more people. But if it's within the same vehicle, the price will stay the same. Everything will be good. You can make any edits to the pickup drop-off location, and then you can go in and book directly from the reserved booking section. We really heard you guys. Like, we can understand that this is so important, and just within the first like 24 hours that this launched, it has been used so many times. So I really hope that you guys are happy and that you're going to give this a shot and kind of like play around with it and see what you can reserve now and pay later. I see more questions are coming in, or hopefully they're like celebratory chats, but I will get to those. That'll be a surprise for me when we go to the Q&A afterward. But I do want to take some time on our actual website to show you exactly how to book all the stuff that I've talked about. The most important first step when you get to our website, which is daytrip.com, is to make sure that you're logged in. Up here in the top right corner, you'll see that it says my name. That means I am logged in. If it just says sign in, surprise, you have to sign in. But since my name is up here in the top, that means I am logged in. And I wanted to show you also in the portal exactly where the reserved bookings are. So I just clicked into my portal, and then over here on the left-hand side under manage bookings, if you go down to reserved bookings, this is where you're going to find them. I have none right now, but in theory, this is where they would be. If you go to my bookings, this is where they are, as they always have been. And then the reserved bookings, as soon as you confirm them, they will go over to my bookings. I actually had some reserved ones, but I must have canceled them because I was really having fun playing around with them and just like seeing how this new feature worked because it was so exciting. So that's exactly where you'll find them. You can go ahead and pay for them directly from the portal, and then they'll show up right there. So a very exciting new feature. But the purpose of this tutorial is to show you a little bit more about our actual services. So if you have any questions about this new launch, I'm going to have my email at the end of the presentation, and we can talk a little bit more on email, or I'll answer it during the Q&A. So I've kind of highlighted a variety of different services, but I just want to make sure you know where to find them on our website. The first one, of course, are all of the transfers that we offer. So that's a one-way transfer, a return transfer, and multi-city transfers. This is the one that I'm going to show you because as soon as you master a multi-city transfer, you've mastered everything. Like literally, you could go to Harvard, you could go to Yale, you've done it all. With multi-city, it's really good for a lot of purposes. I'm going to show you how you can book your airport transfers for this ski trip that we're planning. You can also use it for cruise transfers. That's very exciting. You can use it basically if you have multiple legs of different trips that you need to book and you just want to pay for it one time. You just want to go through this whole process one time. That's what you can use multi-city for. So I'm going to use it for my clients who are going on a ski trip and they are flying into the Geneva airport. Yep. And then they are going to go to Courchevel in France, and they are going to go in February. They're gonna go on my mom's birthday, February 13th. Let's say I'm planning it for my mom. Okay, I have a character in mind now. So I'm planning a ski trip for my mom on her birthday. So she is arriving to the Geneva airport. Let's say her flight from the US lands at 10. I am not going to book this transfer for 10 because I know that my mom is a heavy packer and she's going to have to wait for her luggage to arrive at the airport. So I don't want to book it for right when the flight lands because there's a good chance that plane is just barely landing. So the flight lands at 10. I'm going to give my mom a 45-minute buffer, and I highly recommend you also give your clients about a 40-minute buffer, especially for international flights, to make sure they can get their luggage. If there's any minor delays in the flight, then that also will account for it. And as I mentioned, we have then the free 60-minute waiting period. So that means that my transfer is at 10:45, but in case my client is a little bit later than that, I actually have until 11:45 for them to meet the driver. So I will be back in the US sleeping peacefully, knowing that my mom is good. So my 10:45 pickup is good. And then the next leg of the journey that you can see here is that it's automatically filled in with Courchevel. That's perfect because that's exactly where she is. But if she, for some reason, was like, I'm being crazy and I'm taking a helicopter somewhere else, sure, why not? Let's say she's in Salzburg now. She took her helicopter to Salzburg and she wants to go then to the Vienna airport. You can also book that leg of the journey here. And it's basically just a really nice way to be able to book all of these different legs of a journey in one fell swoop. Okay, she's leaving at 2 p.m. Goodbye. And we're going to find her a ride. In this case that I've made up in my head, it's just my mom traveling, so it would only be one person. But let's say you have a family, two adults, two kids. Each person is allowed one checked bag, one carry-on bag. If they have extra sets of bags, which is important for skiing, if they have extra bags for skiing or any like skis themselves, a lot of places you can obviously rent them, but some people prefer to bring their own. Just make sure we know about it because if for some reason you have like a sedan, but this person has like 25,000 sets of skis, we need to know about that. So just make sure you include that in the details and then you can click find a ride and it will find you a ride. So you can see here for my two adults and two children that are traveling, because I scrapped my plan with my mom. Sorry, mom, you're not going on this trip anymore. Now it's two adults and two children that I've made up in my mind. And they want to travel in a van for both of these different journeys. And between this ski destination and Salzburg, they're walking, they're taking a helicopter. It doesn't matter. They're not taking day trip, but I can still book all of these different legs myself. So we are going to go to the next step, which is to add stops. I am going to add this first one here, which is the most popular. It's Annecy. I know that they want to see it, but I don't think 2 hours is going to be enough. So I'm going to increase the stop duration to 3 hours, update the price. You can see here on the right side, it updates everything. We also have the breakdown of the stops versus the transport, and then you'll also be able to see your commission price there. It depends on your commercial conditions, but my commission for this trip right now is 72 euros. You will also be able to see that our free cancellation window is up to 24 hours before pickup time. That's always good to know, and we have that on like literally every step of the journey in case you forget. When you're going through the booking flow, you will always know you have up to 24 hours to cancel your trip free of charge. So I've added my stop. Here, it's really cool, actually. There are no suggested stops because this journey doesn't have them, but you can add your own if you would like. So if I really had something in mind, which I don't, I could add a cemetery, maybe. I could add like a village where my family lived or something like that. It's a really cool way to just like help your clients see exactly what they want to see. So you can add that there, but I'm just going to move on to the next step of the booking flow, which is the details and payment page. Again, the same details are here on the right side. Importantly, this stuff at the top, my travel agent information is automatically filled in, which is how I also know that I'm logged in. That's a very important step. You can see that I can also change the currency of what I'm looking at, but I wanted to highlight that this does not mean that the price of the trip is going to be like charged in that currency. This is just for your peace of mind and understanding to know like what amount you're looking at. But if a trip is in Europe, it's going to be charged in euros. If a trip is almost anywhere else in the world, it's going to be charged in US dollars. So I just wanted to highlight that because I know that there's been some confusion about that lately. But you can change it to look at it at least and offer the quote to your client. The next section is where you're going to put the client's information, the passenger's information. So my mom in this made-up family is actually my coworker, Sarah. And I'm not going to fill in her phone number because no one needs to be calling her at her US number that doesn't work because she also lives in Prague with me. And then I would fill in her email address here because I want to make sure that Sarah gets the updates to the trip. The person who asked the question about like why we're sending all those driver messages, the driver emails when the driver is changed, that's what I want Sarah to receive so that she knows what's happening. She knows exactly who to be meeting when it comes to the arrival in the Geneva airport or when it comes to Salzburg when she gets picked up from her Airbnb there. So I would put her email here. It's of course up to you guys if you want to put their email. We have a little bit of an info box there to tell you like what we would send, but it's really up to you. I like to do it because I think that's the best way to make sure that everything is smooth. I don't have to then communicate to my clients if it's like a crazy time back in the US or something. Like it's just really helpful. So that's up to you guys. I will indicate that the lead passenger is over 18 years old. And then because Sarah is traveling with two children, she needs two car seats, and we will include those free of charge. And you can also select which car seats you need. So in this instance, she is going to have the rear-facing infant seat, and she's also going to have a backless booster because somehow she has a 12-year-old child, even though she's quite young to have a 12-year-old child. But in this made-up scenario, it's all fine. So the included car seats are all good to go, and they are on a ski holiday. We have four sets of skis. Somehow their baby is skiing. It's fine. It's fine. You guys will always remember how to do this because you'll be like, that girl was being crazy on that webinar. She was giving a baby skis. It's like, yeah, I was. I really was. We have four sets of skis. Is this vehicle big enough? Any sort of concerns you may have, put them there. Please just let us know if you're traveling with something crazy that includes pets. Like if you have a dog with you, please let us know. We would like to know that in advance so we can just accommodate and make sure that the transfer is completely seamless for your clients. We will, of course, ask for the pickup and drop off location, but you don't have to provide them until 24 hours before the trip. So if you're still nailing down those details, it's all good. We will collect them later. And this is where you'll put in the flight information. It's important because it is an airport pickup. So make sure you put the flight information here so we have that. And as I mentioned, I usually do 40 minutes after landing because I'm kind of a crazy person, but we do suggest at least 30 minutes after landing. And the same goes for here because they're going from Salzburg to the airport. So we want to make sure that we're dropping your clients off at the right terminal, everything like that. So we will ask for the flight information and the pickup. This is what I was showing you before. The payment method says pay now, reserve now, pay later. Oh, what a beautiful thing that is. And you can reserve this and save it. And as long as you pay for the trip 48 hours before the trip occurs, it will be saved for you. If you do not pay for this trip that is reserved 48 hours before the trip, it will be automatically canceled, which makes sense to be fair. But you'll also see here, you'll have plenty of reminders. So I'm going to do this right now. This is very exciting. This is the maiden voyage of the reserve now, pay later in a webinar. So we are reserving. Oh, I didn't fill in any of this stuff. Oh my God, that was so sad. Okay, here we go. There we go. Just phone number. We're all good there. I don't have my pickup information because I'm making everything up. So we're reserving. Reserve booking created. I can see here that I need to confirm it before 10:45 a.m. on February 11th. That means I also need to input all my details and everything like that and pay for it. But if you go to my portal, I go to manage bookings, reserved bookings. There they are. And it's two separate legs of the journey, which I think is really important to highlight for multi-city as well. That means you can also easily cancel one leg of the journey, even if you need another one. So if you have like 5 different journeys that you've booked, it's really easy to go through and cancel one of them. So those are our reserved bookings. There are some really awesome other features that we have on our website that I am running out of time for because I've been talking too much about skiing. But we also have really cool day trips that I will show you. We don't have day trips available from every single city. It's mostly like larger cities that are in the country. But for that's why we didn't highlight in this one because like there's no day trips from like Courchevel at this moment in time, but maybe one day because we have 3,400 day trips and this number literally changes every single day. And it's just a really cool place to find trip inspiration, see exactly what's available in different locations for your clients. And if you click into one, it just has a lot of helpful information. The booking flow is exactly the same as all of our other services, so you're experts by now. And it's just a really nice way to add something special to your client's itinerary, but that you guys don't need to put a lot of extra thought into in case your itinerary is already like perfect. This just makes it that much more perfect. And it's a super simple booking tool. You search, boom, you're there, you add it, you book it, and your clients are going on a beautiful day trip. The third service is our by the hour service. I already showed you the gifts, so I'm not sure that we need to go through it too much more, but you pick the city, the duration, the exact same booking flow, the same calendar and timing that you're used to, and then you click find a ride. We are running very short on time because I really have been yapping like, oh my God, and I want to see if there's any other questions in the chat. And then we still have the giveaway. So let me just see. That's huge. This is great. Amazing. Ah, yay. I'm so excited that you're also excited because this has been a really great feature as well. Um, In the case of reserve now, pay later, do you share the driver details at the time of payment or at the time of booking? The driver details are shared about a week before the trip typically. So even with reserve bookings, you're not going to get the driver details like right when you reserve it, unless you're reserving it like 5 days before, then you may get it. But the driver details really come down to the departure date. It's not so much the date of booking. So it just sort of depends on when you're booking it. But the reserve now, pay later is basically just to make sure you can lock in the price, share the details with your clients, and then the driver information is going to come at the same time that it normally does. I think Ava's asking a question that I touched on a bit, where it says if I have to cancel one journey of the trip only, but not the entire trip, seems that would be more easily handled if I booked all legs and journeys separately. So that's related to the multi-city tutorial that I showed. And like I showed you then in the reserve booking section, it actually is like individual trips. So you can cancel them really easily individually. So don't worry about that. You can still book them as multi-city, but they will be processed as like individual legs. So it's really easy to take care of. Justina is asking, echoing Michael's questions, do drivers track flights in case the delay exceeds 60 minutes? Our drivers right now have the flight information. We do ask that if there is a delay more than 60 minutes, that you do let us know. You can call the customer support team. They're available 24/7. This is just the best way to make sure that everything is seamless, so that in case the flight is delayed like a lot and the original driver can't wait, that's how they're then going to be able to find the replacement driver. And you can call them or your clients can call them. But we do ask that you just give us a heads up about that. So I hope that answers your question. We are running very low on time and I want to get to the exciting giveaway. So if you have more questions, please put them in the chat and I'll check them after we do the giveaway, but I don't want to hold anybody hostage. So for our giveaway, my question is, the European Alps span across how many different countries? I said this at the beginning of the webinar. Oh my God. Okay, the response is already coming in. Okay, someone got it. It's Kim Shrebati. You are the winner of our giveaway. The answer is indeed 8. So it's France, Switzerland, Italy, Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Liechtenstein, and Monaco. And of course, Daytrip has you covered in all of them. So, Kim, I will be in touch with you probably tomorrow to send your voucher. Congratulations. You are the proud winner of a $50 Daytrip voucher. I will send that to you tomorrow via email. Congratulations. And thank you everybody else for guessing. I really like seeing that everybody is guessing correct. That means that you were really paying attention. So awesome. We love to hear it. And I hope that you also paid attention to these really cool ski destinations so you can send your travelers on amazing trips. We are here for you guys. I know that I kind of sped through that at the end, but I just really like to talk to you guys. I think it's really fun and I want to make sure that all of your questions get answered and everything. But if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. That's my email there. You also have the customer support email and phone numbers down at the bottom. There's the US phone number in case that's better for you, and then also the European phone number if that's better for anyone who's traveling. But both of them will take you directly to our 24/7 customer support. I really want to thank you guys for joining. This was a very intimidating topic. I'm not going to lie. The Alps, it's across 8 countries and 746 miles. That's kind of a lot to unpack in 1 hour. So I hope you feel like you learned something either about the Alps or about Daytrip. And I really look forward to catching you guys on another webinar. Soon we will have one next month, as we always do, and Sarah will be joining me on that one. So you can look forward to some fun stuff there, and definitely keep an eye peeled for, both your eyes peeled, for the content that we are putting out when it comes to the Winter Olympics that are upcoming in Italy. So there'll be some really good stuff coming your way, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much.